Yeah. So good morning. So in disaster management, we are going to learn about you know seismology and earthquake. Okay. So let's try to first understand what is seismology. Okay. Seismology is a branch of or a study of earth movement when it makes sound, when it faces a friction, and there's a sudden release of energy that releases waves, sounds, and that sounds are felt as earthquakes, right? So in seismology we need to understand that how it is introduced in engineering seismology, then internal structure of the earth, the theory of plate tectonics, seismic waves, the size and classification of earthquakes, strong ground motion characteristics, and estimation of ground motion parameters. So seismic has maps are there, then response and specters are there. Okay, so introduction to engineering seismology is that the seismology is a scientific study of earthquakes and the progression of elastic waves through the earth and throughout the planet. Like a body with a artificial produced vibration of the earth and the internal structure of the earth. It includes the study of origin, geographic distribution, effect, and possible prediction of the earthquake. The field is also include study of earthquake environmental effect such as tsunamis, as well as drivers of seismic sources such as volcanic, tectonic, oceanic, atmospheric, and artificial process such as explosions. Seismologists not only study earthquakes as they happen, but they try to create models to predict and when they are where the earthquake is going to happen, and what might occur, and how it can occur. That are all various studies seismologists go through. They also study the effect of earthquakes like seismic waves, okay, and tsunamis. uh, Tsunamis are massive ocean waves caused by the underwater earthquakes, and they can be quite destructive or coastal communities. All right. So paleoseismology is a related field that uses geology to infer information regarding the past earthquakes that had happened in the on the earth. No, seismology and seismographs a record of earth motion as a function of times. So, engineering seismology is a study when we apply, the seismology for engineering purposes. It is generally applied to the branch of seismology that deals with assessment of seismic hazard for a site or a region for purpose of the earthquake engineering. It has therefore a link between earth science and civil engineering. Right. So it has a close linkage between earth science and civil engineering. So there are two principal components of engineering seismology. That is first the study of earthquakes and history, historical earthquakes, that is history and the instrument catalogs of seismicity. The tectonics to access the earthquakes that could occur in a region and their characteristics and frequency of occurrence. Secondly, study a strong ground motion generated by earthquakes to assess the expected shaking of the future earthquakes with similar characteristics. These are strong ground motions and either be observant from accelerometer or seismometer, or these are simulated by the computers using various techniques, which are often used to develop ground motion prediction and equations and ground motion models. The first of all, to understand this seismology and earthquakes, we need to understand the internal structure of the earth. So earth is divided into numerous shells. Each of them are physical and chemical, have physical and chemical properties, and because we cannot collect samples from the center of the earth, we base a model in direct evidence such as data of seismic events. So when differentiating the layers, geologists lump subdivisions into two categories, either uh, uh, rheological or chemical properties or characteristics. The rheological differentiation speaks to to the quality state of rock under the tremendous pressure and temperature. For instance, rock will respond very different to certain under strain, normal atmospheric temperature and pressure, and compress to fewer than thousand of kilometers of the rocks. If we subdivide the earth based on the rheology, we see the lithosphere, asthenosphere, mesosphere, and outer core and inner core. However, if we differentiate the layer based on chemical variations, we can sum up that the layers in crustal mantle, outer core, and inner core are have can determine the structure of the earth. So the construct of a model of a earth's interior, we use varieties of geological observation, shadow zones of seismic waves, and wave shadow that earth has three distinct layers and a crustal and mantle core. Okay, so like this, we have solid inner core, semi liquid outer core, then mantle, and we have the crust. Okay, the thinnest shell is the crust. So the crust being the thinnest, then we have upper mantle. Core have two divisions, that is upper mantle and the lower mantle. Out then we have outer core, that is liquid, based on liquid iron. Then we have inner core based on iron and nickel, that is almost solid. Okay, so as we go further, the crust, these are like they live in a very thin, or compared to the others layer, they are very thin. The layers of the rock that forms the earth outer skin, this crust is basically made of hard rocks and ocean basin. The thickness varies depending on the topography of the earth, and ocean crust depends goes deep into about 5 to 10 kilometers, and the continental crust can be as thick as 30 to 45 kilometers thick, right? So the temperature within the earth crust will vary from air temperature at the surface to approximately 70 degrees Celsius in the deeper section of the earth. So earth crust, that is floating on the soft semi-molten lava, that is part of the you know mantle. So about a dozen of chemical elements, that is minerals, rocks type, is all that is it takes to describe the approximately 99% of the crust. Okay, the most common chemical elements in the crust are oxygen, silicon, aluminium, iron, calcium, potassium, sodium, and magnesium. Okay, Then continental crust or oceanic crust, we are going to talk about is that continental crust is the layer of igneous sedimentary or metamorphic rocks that forms the continent. The average density of the continent crust is about 2.7 gram per cubic centimeter. The continental crust is considered considerably thicker than the oceanic crust, which has an average thickness of about around 7 to 10 kilometers. So, for about 40% of the Earth's surface is currently occupied by continental crust. It makes up about 70% of the volume of the Earth crust. Oceanic crust is the uppermost layer of the oceanic portion of the tectonic plate. It composed of oceanic crust. Oceanic crust is primarily composed of uh, magma rocks, magmatic rocks, and or the chemical composition can be of sima, that is silica and magnesium, which is rich in iron and magnesium also. So this is a thin and a continental crust is a CR layer is generally less than 10 kilometers in the thickness. So it is it denser. It is denser, having a mean density of about 3.0 grams per cubic centimeter. So Earth's mantle is the layer of the Earth which lies below the crust, which is just below the crust layer. It starts off, that is the upper mantle, or the upper mantle, the largest layer, making of about 80% of the Earth's volume. The mantle starts at the Mohorovic discontinuity, uh, which is also known as moho. Moho is defined as the density contrast from less dense crust to the denser mantle, where the seismic wave velocity also increases. The mantle acts similar to the plastics at a very high temperature and pressure. The rocks are deformable at a geological time scale. So the deformation causes a convections, like convection process in the mantle. So the mantle extends down to about 2890 kilometers into the earth's surface. So the temperature at this range is rising to about 500 to 900 degree Celsius on the upper portion of the mantle. So for about 4000 degrees Celsius near the core, that is the lower portion of the lower mantle, the temperature rises of about 4000 degree Celsius near the core boundary, with an average temperature of about 3200 degrees Celsius. So it is a predominantly solid, but in a geological time scale, it behaves as a viscous fluid. So the mantle encloses the hot core, rich in iron and nickel, which makes up about 15% of the Earth's volume. So the mantle is divided into sections which are based upon results from seismologies. So the upper mantle, that is starting at the moho, or the base of the crust, found around 7 to 35 kilometer down to about 410 kilometers in the transition zone. So about 410 to 600 kilometers in between is the transition zone. The lower mantle depth of this layer is varying from 660 to 2891 kilometers approximately, and the core mantle boundary is of an average of about 200 degrees Celsius in on varying thickness. Lithosphere, that is the uppermost mantle plus overlying crust, are relatively rigid from the lithosphere. Irregular layers with maximum thickness of perhaps 200 kilometers below the lithosphere, and the upper mantle becomes a notable or more plastic in some region below the lithosphere, and seismic shear velocity is reduced. This is called the low velocity zone, and extend down to the depth of a several hundred kilometers. So a principal source of heat and drives the plate tectonic is the radioactive decay of uranium, thorium, and potassium in the earth crust and mantle. Earth's core, and the inner part of the Earth's core is that. Sorry, just things have gone out of alignment. Okay, so the Earth's core, the inner part of the Earth's interior, the core of the Earth is like a ball of hot metal. Okay, so it starts from the bottom most fiber of lower mantle to the Earth's center. The depth of the core varies from 2900 kilometers to about 6400 kilometers. So Earth's core is divided into two parts, that is the outer core and the inner core. So outer core is the layer of the earth that lies below the mantle. The outer core is of about 2300 kilometer thick and goes down to approximately 5200 kilometers into the earth. So the seismic survey of earth interior shows that the outer core is a liquid having about 80% of iron, some nickel, traceable nickel, and some number of different lighter elements are there. Okay, so the temperature of the outer core ranges from about 4030 degree to 5730 degree Celsius. So the outer core is liquid enough and low enough in viscosity that it makes spins faster than the earth, than the entire earth. So the differential velocity of the spinning along with the convection and the turbulence flow of the iron outer core creates a magnetic field. So what creates a magnetic field? When the liquid outer core, being a viscous, it spins in a different speed than that of the earth. All right, so it creates, and along with that it also has the convection current and turbulence in the the current of the flow of these liquid rocks, right? So when they are rotating on a solid mass, which is the interior part, inner core, it creates a electromagnetic field or a earth's magnetic field, right? So the inner core is the centermost layer of the earth, and in many ways similar to that of our outer core. It is also similar early iron ore and nickel, and has a radius of about 1220 kilometers. And the differentiation between the outer core and the inner core is the density driven. The pressure becomes high enough that despite a very high temperature, the inner core is a solid, is very solid in nature, or is solid. uh, it is also enriched in unusual heavy metals, including gold, silver, platinum, palladium, and tungsten. So the temperature reaches up about 5400 degrees Celsius, and pressure up to 36 gigapascal. So this is 360 gigapascal. So this is about 3 million times the air pressure at the sea level. So the inner core is about 70% of the moon's radius. It is almost of about 70% of the moon's radius, and is approximately at the same temperature as the surface of the sun. So the inner core has the temperature almost approximate to that of a surface temperature of a sun. So when Earth was just beginning to cool billions of years ago, heavier elements sunk down into the center of the Earth, while less dense elements rose to the surface. Therefore, we see a general increase in density as we get closer to the center of the Earth. So the theory of plate tectonics is like the plate is the theory, the Earth's outer shell is divided into several plates and guides over mantle. So the plate acts like a hard and rigid shell compared to the Earth's mantle. A strong outer layer is called as lithosphere, which includes crust and outer part of the mantle. Now, below the lithosphere is the asthenosphere, which is malleable and or proportionally malleable, allowing the lithosphere to move around. There are there are nine major plates colliding towards the uh, it collides. There are major plates that are colliding towards the plate boundaries. Now, according to the World Atlas, these plates are named after the landforms which are formed. That is the nine major plates, and the that is North America, Pacific, Eurasian, African, Indo-Australian, Australian, Indian, South American, and Antarctic major plate boundaries. So most of it is located under the ocean, and it is moving northwest at a speed of around 7 centimeter a year. So the largest plate is Pacific plate, having an area of about 1,003 lakh square kilometers. So there are almost there are also many smaller plates throughout the world. That is the subplate boundaries. So working of the plate tectonic. Okay, just hold on. I'll just get back to you. So, the working of the plate tectonics. Tectonic plates is generally accepted that the tectonic plates are able to move because of the relative density of the oceanic lithosphere and relative weakness of the asthenosphere. So, this suspension of the heat from the mantle is acknowledged to be the origin source of the energy that is required to drive the plates to plate tectonics. The driving force behind the plate tectonics is convection in the mantle or the hot material near the Earth's core, rising and cooling mantle rock, sinking along the edges. So when these plate meets, there are relative motion determined the type of boundaries like convergent and divergent and transform plate boundaries. So types of plate boundaries we have studied. Let's just go through a brief. That is, the plate boundary mainly consists of three types. That is the divergent. These plate boundaries happens where the two lithospheric plates move apart. Convergent plate boundaries, these boundaries happen whether both the plate moving towards each other and it forms a zone of collision or conversion. So that is a continental collision can be, or continental, basically continental collisions. So the transform boundaries are occurs where the two lithospheric plates slides along each other, or more accurately grinds up past each other along the transverse fault, where the plates are neither created nor destroyed. Okay, so these are how plate boundaries are look like. This is the divergent plate boundary, this is the convergent plate boundary, and this is the transverse plate boundary. So whenever divergent plate boundaries, we have block mountains, we get volcanic eruptions on the divergent plate boundary zones. We have earthquakes or fold mountains rising on the convergent plate boundaries. On the divergent plate boundaries, the transverse plate boundaries, also we get earthquakes and fault lines in these areas. So the plate tectonic causes relative motions of plate tectonic causes earthquakes, volcanism, mountain buildings, mid-ocean ridges, and oceanic trenches. Seismic waves are the waves of energy that travels through the Earth's layer and are result of earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, magma movement, large landslides, and large man-made explosions can result into seismic waves. So seismic waves have low frequency acoustic energy. So you cannot hear these waves, but they are low frequency acoustic waves, so they can be felt by the uh, you know uh, burrowing animals, like reptilians and animals who are living on the burrows on the ground. They can feel these energies. Okay, many of the natural and anthropogenic sources create low amplitude wave, along commonly referred to as ambient vibration. This is very common. It is like recent studies have found out that this ambient vibrant vibration are one of the ways of communicating among the animals, like elephants. Apart from low acoustic sound elephants release in the air, they also transmit some amount of sound energy through the ground to connect with other herd members while they are migrating from one place to another. So the similar things have been found in the animals, and other anthropogenic wavelengths are being used. So the propagation of the velocity of the wave depends on the elasticity and the density of the medium. So the velocity tends to increase with increase in density. As we move deeper in the earth, the velocity is also going to increase. So the seismic wave fields are recorded by seismometer, hydrophones in the water, and accelerometer on the in the waters, and seismometers on the ground. So the earthquake creates distinct type of wave with different velocity when reaching seismic variations. Now, their different travel time helps to locate the hypocentral. A reference is that and reflection of the seismic waves are used to find the structure of the interior of the earth. So we have been using the seismic wave to find the basic structure of the interior of the earth. So there are wavelengths and waves which are able to penetrate through the earth mantle and core, and there are some waves which do not penetrate to the core and creates a shadow zone. Okay, so the type of seismic waves that broadly divides into two groups, that is body waves and primary waves. So body waves have traveled through the interior of the earth along the path controlled by the material properties like density, modules, and body wave are further divided into another two parts, that is primary wave, we can call it P wave. P wave are compressional waves that are longitudinal in nature, and P wave are pressure waves that travel faster than the other waves through the earth. Okay, so this wave can travel through any type of material including liquid, and can travel faster than the S wave. Okay, so in air, these waves take the form of a sound wave, and hence they travel at a speed of a sound. Okay, so the secondary wave or the S wave are shear waves that are transverse in nature, and S waves arrives at a seismograph station after faster moving waves and displays the ground perpendicular to the direction of the propagation. Since since liquid do not support the shear stress, or the S wave cannot be found or cannot travel through the liquid medium. So the surface wave, then we have surface wave, which travels along the surface of the earth, and they travel more slower than that of a seismic body waves. So in large earthquakes, surface wave can have an amplitude of several centimeters. Some other waves are mentioned also, that is Ryle wave, love wave, Stoneleigh wave, and free or oscillation of the earth. Right. So the size of the earth is also determined. The size of the earth is also given by to open end of the logarithm scale of magnitude, often referred as a Richter scales. So the earthquake have a shocks smaller than the magnitude of 2.5 are usually not felt, and those with the magnitude of 7 causes serious damage over large areas. So intensity of shaking is measured on modified Mercalli scale, uh, ranging from one far from this epicenter to maximum near to it, so which can reach of about 12 in the strongest earthquakes. The Richter scale magnitude of the earthquake is determined from the logs of the amplitude of the wave recorded by the seismograph. So the adjustment are included for the variations in the distance between the various seismographs and the epicenter of the earthquake. So on Richter scale, magnitude is commonly expressed in a whole number and a decimal number. So the Richter scale is not commonly used. More expel a small earthquake recorded in a local manner or locally. Mercalli's intensity scale quantifies the effect of the earthquakes on the earth surface and human object of natural and man-made structure on the scale form. So for not felt in 7 indicates the total destruction. The value depends upon the distance from the earthquake, with the highest density value of the their locations. So modified Mercalli intensity scale, that is lower degree of modified Mercalli intensity scale, generally deals with the manner in which the earthquakes is felt by the people. The higher number of scales are based on observed structural damage, the correlation between the magnitude and the intensity. The intensity is far from the total, depending upon the several factors, including the depth of the hypercenter and terrain distance from the center. The classification of earthquakes are usually classified on the basis of causing of the or the origin, depth of the focus, intensity and magnitude of the earthquake. So the cause of the origin can be a tectonic earthquakes caused when the plate movement against each other, and these extent create stress that causes earth's interior shell and lithosphere to shift or break. Non-tectonic earthquakes are mainly three types, that is surface cause, volcanic cause, and collapse of a cavity or roof. So the surface earthquakes are those in which the depth of the focus is less than 10 kilometers. Shallow earthquakes with hypocentral at the depth of 10 to 50 kilometers, and the deep focus earthquakes are uh, of plutonic earthquakes. These are type of hypocentral located into more than 300 kilometers in depth. The majority of deep focus earthquakes are originated between 500 to 700 kilometers into the earth's surface. Now the strong ground motion characteristics are, propagation of seismic waves and resulting into ground displacement during the damage caused by the earthquakes. So where restricted within few hundreds of kilometers from the earthquake or the cavity fault. So the earthquake motion can be, recorded in terms of ground placement and velocity. Okay, or acceleration during the earthquake. The ground velocity, the ground movement is a very complex procedure and translation in general directions and combinations. So when we when the rotation with the arbitrary axis is different, the several earthquake parameters are reported in a literal literature of a quantitative description that is varying from the characteristics of that of a ground motion. So these cover the characteristics such as amplitude of motion, frequency of content of motion, duration of motion, and so on. Loading effect of the earthquake ground motion is at the site is generally represented by three ground motions, that is parameter, peak ground acceleration, response spectrum, and acceleration time. The combined influence of the amplitude of ground acceleration, their frequency content, the duration of the ground shaking different structure is represented by the means of response spectrum. Just a minute. So the estimation of ground motion parameters is that a pre-ground acceleration. Okay, then we have peak ground displacement, and we have seismic hazard mapping and activities. So when we see here in this image, we see there are areas which are highly seismic prone zones and areas which are low to moderate seismic prone zones. So coming to high peak velocity sorry coming to so we have completed this is peak ground acceleration. The earthquake time history contains several engineering characteristics, ground motion and maximum amplitude uh, of motion is one of the important parameters among them. So the measure of the maximum amplitude of the motion and is defined as the largest absolute value of the acceleration time. The response of very stiff structures is related to that of a peak ground acceleration, and it's not a very good measure of damage potential for the ground motion due to it is closely related to the response spectrum, and usability in the scale of response spectrum is an extensively used in engineering applications. So generally at distance, several sources, dimensions, way, and vertical peak ground acceleration are found to be less than horizontal, though it at near source distance is could be equal to higher than the corresponding or horizontal grounds. Just hold on, I'll just come back. Then we have peak displacement. Displacement reflect the amplitude of a lower frequency component in the ground motion. The acceleration estimates of the parameters is difficult, as the error of a single processing or a numerical integrated and greatly affected the estimation of the amplitude of a displacement time history. So seismic hazard maps is probability that an earthquake will occur in a given geographical area within a given window of time, and with a ground motion or intensity exceeding a given threshold. So this hazard thus estimates the risk can be asserted, including in such a area as building codes or for the standard buildings. Now, designing large buildings and infrastructure project land use planning and determine the insurance rates. And the last version of the seismic hazard mapping of the earth is given to the earth resistant design of code. So the design level of the seismic for the delivery of the Indian terms and the zone factors, that is zone 2, 3, 4, and 5, unlikely to the version. So according to the present zone map, that is zone 5 is the highest level of the seismic activities, and the zone 2 is the lowest level of the seismic activity. So Indian subcontinent has a history of devastating earthquakes, and major reason of this frequency and intensity of earthquakes is that of an Indian plate is diving into the Asian plate at the rate of approximately 47 millimeter per year. So the geological statistics of India shows that about 54% of the land is vulnerable to the earthquakes. So this is the map which shows that how what are the areas that are prone to earthquake. So zone 4 and 5, this area relies on a highly risk or prone to earthquake with high intensity of earthquakes. Okay, and this orange is for zone 2 sorry, zone 3 to zone 4, and the yellow is on the zone 2 and 3, and this blue part is in the zone 1 and 2 in terms of measuring count of emergency maps. So with this, I conclude the lecture for seismology and seismic activities of the earth, and in context of India. I would like all of you to go to your LMS and take the quiz related to earthquakes and seismic activities.